without strong mental health or emotional intelligence, you're not going to get to those academics as fast. You're just not. It's the same thing, with adults. If we're not on top of our mental game, we're not going to put ourselves, our best selves forward and learn as much. And it should be when you're talking about a school, it should be the main pillar in your school should be social emotional well-being and developing emotional literacy, numeracy, social emotional learning. Those should be your 3 pillars in primary school, and then you maintain it all the way through. Even in a high school, when you have kids who are going off to university and they get huge test anxiety, they don't know what to do with it because they can't cope.
Vagal theory stuff a lot, and I know, I guess, like, I don't have a specific question here, but it's like, am I wrong here? Vagal nerve? There's a vagus nerve?
Vagus is your vagus nerve. Would you like me to dive in?
Absolutely, yeah. Like, what can you kind of add to this discussion? And like, it seems like a very complex psychological idea, but how can you kind of break it down?
So your polyvagal nerve is connected to your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex, okay? And I might get it backwards. I don't know.
That's fine.
The scientists out there might get on me, but your prefrontal cortex controls your fight, flight, and freeze response, okay? So that polyvagal nerve, it goes right through your whole body. It's everything. So all of your senses interact with your polyvagal nerve. So when I wake up in the morning, I put my feet on the ground. If the floor is cold, it's going to cause an emotional reaction for me. I'm going to go, oh, it's cold. I don't like the cold. Do you hear how I said I don't like the cold? Instantly, I'm diving into my prefrontal cortex. Yeah, sorry, your amygdala controls your emotions. And so it ties into this social emotional well-being. It ties into emotional intelligence. And so the way you interact with your physical space, the way you interact with people, the way you interact with the nutrients you're putting into your body affects that polyvagal nerve. And if your polyvagal nerve gets unbalanced, where you can't soothe it, that's where you dive into fight, flight, or freeze, right? And you have those kids who will storm out of a room, put their head down on a desk, or an adult who's just kind of cranky all the time, or whatever. And what you have to do, and this is where the play piece comes in, the structured play piece in, where I was talking about eliciting emotions. You elicit the emotions so you can teach kids to self-soothe. Because if you're mindful, like you hear about meditation, you hear about that whole Zen thing, what you're doing is you're calming the vagus nerve. That's what you're doing. You're like, when you take deep breaths, those really deep diaphragmatic breaths that you take, it soothes that vagus nerve and it soothes your body, which then soothes your mind and allows your mind to be in charge instead of your feelings, right?